Be more than just a fan. Become an advocate for comics. Subscribe to comicbookadvocates.com, the site that puts the love of comics first. The opinions expressed in the following broadcast are not necessarily those of Indie Volt Media LLC, its staff, contributors, or sponsors. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's time to get real about shit and have some hard conversations and rip apart topics to make sure we advocate for every angle of that topic. Welcome to The Devil's Advocate, brought to you by Indie Volt. Give your fandom a recharge, and hosted by the uncanny indie devil, Mr. Anderson. Follow all the comics devil's tales at MrAnderson.com.
Original music by Unicorn Heads for the YouTube audio library. This music is free for you to use on YouTube videos. Find the music in YouTube audio library in the Creator Studio. Search Unicorn Heads.
And now on to the topic. The opinions expressed in the following broadcast are not necessarily those of Indie Volt Media LLC, its staff, contributors, or sponsors. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, I've warned you twice now. You know that the things that are going to be said on this show cannot be held against Indie Volt. If you hold it against Indie Volt, you're the problem, not Indie Volt. We are going to be joined by some great people, some of which can let themselves in if they want to be part of the conversation because they have keys to the room and can pop in anytime they want. And others are going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about the Crad Bucket Society and those drawing lines are the cancer. Those drawing lines are the cancer in comics. Putting politics first is the problem. And we're joined by Varian Grant. And he's going to introduce himself. Great creator, the mind behind Indie Volt. He's going to tell us a little bit about Last Call Comics tonight, and we're going to get on with the show. So let me get this overlay out of the way. Varian, welcome to the show. Good seeing you sitting up. I know today's DC Fandom Day, so I don't know who's going to show up. I know it's big. A lot of money spent. Great graphics on that DC Fandom.
Yeah. I just got to be watching it. I just wrapped up. It wrapped up at 9 o'clock on the dot. They did show a trailer for the Batman.
I missed the Batman one?
Yeah.
I gotta go. This show's over.
It was pretty interesting. I will say this. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, hi everybody out there. My name is Varian Grant. You see me on, if you're watching on Indie Volt, you know me. One of the co-hosts of Indie Volt Live and founder of Indie Volt Media LLC, and also the co-founder, co-publisher of Last Call Comics. You can find that at lastcallcomics.com. And all of our sweet comics we got over there. Got some more stuff coming probably in 2021. Well, not probably, but definitely in 2021. Good thing about the break that we've had, the quarantine we've had opportunity to kind of start drawing and creating again without having to stop and do cons. And, for a creator, having that year off, while it is very financially disheartening, the creator in you is like relishing the opportunity to kind of be at home and not be bothered and not have to worry about, stopping for, every 4 days and going out of town and creating, which is fine. You get used to it, but to be able to be home for a couple of, be able to be home for weeks at a time and get some stuff done, that's pretty cool. I really do like that.
I've never spent as much time in Florida as I have this year. And that's not a joke. I've lived here 4 years, but I've never spent this much time in Florida. I have not left the state now in a year almost.
And now you decided you don't like it.
I don't. I'm hoping 2 hurricanes come and make it more interesting.
That's really messed up. But yeah, I seen your topic. Then I said, maybe I can pop my head in there and cause some trouble. I know some other people will be dropping in, and I'm interested to hear some takes on the situation. We've dealt with the crab bucket. We've dealt with the ramifications of having people who put, I think your header said politics first.
Yeah, politics over comics.
And, it is a dangerous slope. It is a slippery slope. And, I think that by the time you realize that you've slipped, it's too late. Like there's no climbing back up. You're done.
That is, and it's one of the hardest things we're going to have to do for this show, because that the goal of this show is not to just prove one side wrong, but to talk about all different sides. One of the harder things that I had to come up with is the idea of what exactly is the crab bucket. And when we're talking badly about DC and Marvel, and we climbed into a crab bucket, where is that line between fandom and expectations of fandom and actually joining a crab bucket? And
Okay.
I'm going to let you answer first, because I want to know your take on it before I give my idea.
Okay, my take on it is going to sound like a cop-out, but let me say this. I think this goes for like when you like video games or you like comic books. If you like those things, you also hate them. Same with wrestling. When I talk about Marvel and DC, I'm talking about it because I know that they're capable of better. And it's just this thing where we razz on what we really love. I love, saying, oh my goodness, this, my favorite sports team is doing horrible this year. Damn it, they need to get, they need a better defense. They need better players. They need a center. They need a small forward. I love doing that. That's what we do. When we're looking at Marvel and DC, it is easy to say, oh, you're just being a crab. But I think in those terms of saying, hey, I don't like this writer on this product because this person doesn't seem to get the character or understand the character. Now, that to me is not crab bucketing, because what I'm saying is this person is capable of writing, maybe just not this character, or maybe this storyline isn't for this person. I'm going to stick with the comic because I like this character, and maybe this writer will improve. The problem happens when, because of how we are socially connected now through social media, when I go online, or I've never done this, but people go online and they say, hey, writer A, I don't like, I'm not really liking what you're doing with character A. And writer A responds, I didn't make this comic for you, you're just mad, you bigot, blah, blah, blah. And, that's when you have a total breakdown of communication and understanding. So that's going off in another direction, but I don't think it's crab bucking when we talk about Marvel and DC, because we want them to do better. Crabs don't want you to do better. Crabs want you in the bucket so they can pull themselves up, and they hope that they have the ability to climb out. I know once I get up there, I'm gonna force my way out. Though I'm gonna fall out that bucket. And these, the people that you have are just tearing others down, launching competitive products, not because they have something better not because they have something better to offer, but because they hate yours. That's crab bucketing, in my opinion. And I'm sure other people are going to have different, definitions, and that's fine. I mean, I think it's open to interpretation, but I think that that's it is very serious. It's a very serious problem that we're facing, and I don't think it's going to get. I think it's going to get a little worse before it gets better.
And we're joined by Randy. Randy, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I'm a alternative and independent comics creator for many, many decades. Arrow Comics, Weeby Comics, Massive Comics, freelanced with other comic companies, done everything in this business that you can imagine except be a cog to the mainstream. Other than that, I am an award-winning commercial and graphic artist whose main specialty is sequential art for advertising and educational purposes. I also do the Zimm Geek channel here on YouTube, and I'm part of Indie Volt Radio.
Now, question, and I didn't introduce myself either. Did you introduce yourself, Varian? I know we got topic.
You should always introduce yourself. You never know who's listening.
I did.
Because I didn't remember hearing Last Call Comics, so let's get
I did.
out of the way.
Yeah. I did. I introduced myself, but I can do it again. But
Last Call Comics. Let's talk about that just a little. Where can they find your comic line?
LastCallComics.com. It's where you can find most of it. Started back in 2012 with my wife, and we've been rocking ever since. We've adjusted our course a few times. I got caught up in the idea of wanting to publish others for a while, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think that just like this, I think comics are infectious. I love the idea of comics. I love bringing people who say they love comics. If I can bring them to the dance, I definitely want to. But sometimes they're standing outside the club for a reason, and so I've been known as the gate kicker. Is that it?
Yeah, the gate kicker. That's why I call you. Kick open the door for anyone who wants to.
Come on in, guys. Oops. I let this person in the club and they started fighting. But
you open the door. What they do with it's on them.
Yeah. LastCallComics.com. Last Call Comics on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can check out our store on our website. It's called The Brewery. And that's where we got a lot of our comics that you order something. I personally make sure it gets to you.
And I am Mr. Anderson. Normally I'd roll a video, but for today, you see me wearing my Batman shirt. I'm supporting the DC fandom today. I'm just going to keep it simple. I create books about fetish monsters and more. You can follow me at MrAnderson.com. I am known as the Uncanny Comics Advocating Devil. And we're happy to be joined by everyone tonight on the radio. We'll get a number in a little bit on who's listening, but thank you all for tuning in. Randy, the question is right now, I was just asking Varian, how do we describe crab? Because before we go any further, we have to distinguish actual legitimate gripes with an industry and the creative materials coming out of it versus a crab. Varian just gave us a very thoughtful, in-depth look at it, bringing up a lot of great points. Randy, how do we determine who's being an overzealous fan, who's just expecting, as Varian said, more because he knows Marvel and DC can do better, versus an actual crab in the bucket?
Well, you can see it in their attitude and the amount of trolling that you do. Crabs tend to be a lot more negative and be just sometimes be viciously negative, looking to claw up to the person that's trying to climb out of the bucket, just to drag them back down to their level. Instead of celebrating comics, they're degrading other people's comics. They're talking about people behind their back. They're always negative. You just, and I hate to sound esoteric here, but you can always feel like a negative vibe off of them, that they're just toxic people. It's just bad thoughts, negative thoughts, bad actions. And they're not. Everybody out there, especially if you're in this industry, ought to be promoting the industry, and they shouldn't be worried about what other people are doing unless they can help them be better. That's the whole thing about this. Is let's educate people. Let's let them be better. Let's if they're trying to climb out of that bucket, let's, instead of clawing them and trying to drag them back in, let's push them out so that we can get up there to that rim and get out too.
Yeah, but I think that for them, for the people in the crab bucket that I've come across,
Pops is crabbing in the green room right now.
And there's safety in numbers. There's, hey, I want to be a part of, you need to be a part of the collective, a part of the hive mind, and we want you, to stay here. And they'll use whatever they gotta do. They'll use lies. They'll use manipulation. We're
a horribly small industry, even though we go all throughout the world, and it's real easy for people to gather into cliques and to form their own buddy network that just drives you nuts at times.
I don't think, like, everybody in this room has disagreements on how this industry should do things, but at the same time, like me and Rob don't agree with everything. We have disagreements on how things should be done. Randy, Lord knows we do, and I'm sure I know the Pops,
That's because I know the right way to do them, and you just don't have the educational viewpoint to.
Well, I do want to introduce Pops, and I'll pass it to Pops with letting him introduce himself, then chime in. Then I'll just answer mine so we can get into the meat of the conversation. I'm with Randy. I think it's intention, and I know Varian, of course, said the same thing. I think it's all about intention. And I know it sounds like a cop-out answer because that's so hard to always know when someone's intention's there. But I think Randy nailed it. If you look beyond the one comment and look at all the other comments, it's clear to see, is this a grudge or is this just a fan spouting off about a bad comic or a bad run of time, or is this someone who's toxic about everything in comics, just trying to talk down about everything and only talking up about themselves? Pops, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Pops Van Zant, founder of Comic Related Madness, CropCon, Monday Madness. We do weekly now. That's about it.
Okay. Well, answer the question. What do you think separates an overzealous fan from an actual crab? Like the idea of a person who's a crab.
No,
I know you're newer to this. You know what we mean by crab, right?
Oh yeah. I'm
okay.
Down, and it's obviously intention. Come on. I mean, there's times when I'll complain about something, but it's not like you beat it and come back 6 months later and you're still beating it. That's intent. That's being a crab. I mean, if you point out what might be missing or what your opinion of something is wrong with something, that's one thing. If you beat them up forever because they didn't change it or do what you wanted to do, then you're a crab.
Almost made a sexual innuendo joke there for a minute, Pops, but I restrained myself.
Bikini Bottoms, man, you know where he lives.
I want to say that I always found it kind of odd that if you came into the industry and you said that you say anything now, you're a hater, you're horrible, you should go away, but apparently a couple years ago, people came into the industry and decided things were missing and the industry was broken and needed to be fixed, and no one called them haters. But that's another topic for another day, I guess.
We're also joined by Josh Dahl. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Josh.
Please introduce yourselves to the Indie Vault audience.
Hi, Indie Vault audience. My name is Josh Dahl. I'm a comics writer and, I don't know, vocal opinion person. I'm here I'm just catching up on the conversation, so I don't want to.
We haven't gotten far into it. We're literally just talking about what crabs are. The idea of a crab, I don't know if you watched the show. It's very popular in here. It's basically the idea that there are people pulling people down.
Sure, yep.
And we're just going to go from there. Also, we do have the link in the chat. You guys are all invited to be part of the show. How many listeners do we have on the radio now? Are you around that thing?
Right now, we're at 32, 141.
Crank it up.
Cool. There we go.
And if I do cut out early, it's because my legs give me issues. I want to warn everybody. So
yeah, no. But anytime you need to, you by all means. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. Do you think the politics of not in comics, and everyone gets this wrong. I know a lot of friends who say I'm tired of comics being about politics. A lot of my friends don't mean politics within the pages. They mean the politics on the outside of the pages that are hurting. Literally, you can't write this because you're not this. You're the wrong color to write this character. You are the wrong orientation to write this character. You are the wrong gender to write this character. Or you're a Republican. You can't do this anymore. Do you think all that noise has led to actually creative wonderfulness that we used to have, like openness, the ability to create whatever we wanted? We'll start with Josh and go reverse. So, Josh, you get the first word on this. Do you think politics on the outside of books, not within the story, but the literal politics behind the scenes are affecting comics in a negative way?
I think maybe a little bit. I think the effects are much, much more positive than negative.
Do you want to elaborate on that, or are you good?
I think that aggressively advocating for new voices might rankle the feathers of people who are not new voices, but the net benefit of welcoming those new voices into the ring is, I think, great. So if it comes off as squashing a voice that we've already heard 100 times in order to advocate for a new voice, that sounds like a net gain.
But then I have to, because this is devil's advocate, I have to ask the follow-up question. Aren't you pigeonholing all creators then? Because it sounds like you're saying, well, I've heard that voice before, but I don't think people have heard my voice despite the fact that I look like other people you might think. Just because I look like someone doesn't mean you've heard my voice. So isn't that a dangerous idea to say, well, we've seen the middle-aged white guy. That's usually what the complaint is, the middle-aged white guy. I'm a middle-aged white guy and no one's written comics like me. So isn't that same necessarily thought pattern possibly keeping me out of comics? And isn't that dangerous?
I think, I mean, granted, I'm biased for my own blah, blah, blah. But I feel like the possibility of you actually being silenced because, sorry?
No, it was just me. Don't worry about it. You're good.
I think the possibility of you actually being silenced is a cop-out. I think if you are saying the reason, Rob, could you imagine me saying the reason nobody's buying the Barks is because I'm a white male writing about music and no, people aren't buying it because I'm not marketing that hard enough. I'm not putting it out there.
On an indie level,
it's not good.
Yeah, no. On an indie level, you're right. But there is possibly someone out there who will go, well, we're not going to hire him just based on his profile. His profile doesn't match the narrative we want. That's what I'm talking about. Like for Marvel and DC, obviously in independent comics, it's your hustle. You got to hustle how you hustle. I agree with you on that. No one's not buying my books because of who I am. It's about my marketing campaign and my materials that I put out. I was asking, do you think it's fair to now say that my voice has already been heard just based on the profile? I'm being profiled.
If you're talking about the federally funded comics industry that's supported with our tax dollars and guaranteed as a right to all citizens, I agree with you. If you're talking about like the market-driven publishing business of comic books, I mean, maybe it winds up unfair. Maybe somebody somewhere does have an agenda where they're trying to promote this group or voice or whatever above others. So buy the comics if you like them or don't. And honestly, if enough people, the fact that it becomes an issue means it is an issue, right? If somebody were, I'm sorry, I'm taking over the whole thing. If somebody were to advocate in favor of middle-aged white guys with mohawks, middle-aged white guys with mohawks need more comic books in the professional, big two, Disney-owned publishing market, right? No one would care but me. So that does not become a movement and it has no weight, right? They're not going to sell any books based on that. But if everyone in America was like, we need to find the voice of middle-aged white men with mohawks, and here's our money, yes, I would get job offers.
Yeah, but haven't sales actually proven what you're saying wrong then? If we're going to talk about sales, well, sales have been notoriously down, and in the indie market itself is getting more. So isn't that a reverse argument? And then I will move on to Pops. I'm just asking as a follow-up because I know right away that's what comes to mind. The sales in the last couple of years have actually been diminishing in bad ways, while graphic novels have gone up, of older materials and of actually unrelated manga, all these things that are inviting new ideas. Not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just asking, is it a reflection of what you're saying? Do you think that we need a course correction then? Because the sales aren't there. Are you implying that maybe we need a course correction? Because I'm with you with diversity. Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing the point. I'm just following up.
Totally understand, and I know what I'm saying is kind of a cop-out, but it's what I think the answer to your question is. Honestly, the sales figures, the effect that diversity hire or not hire, or some white middle-aged guy with a mohawk getting hired or not hired is a tiny blip compared to, for example, the Barnes and Noble marketing budget. I think we are all making this issue matter way, way, way more than it actually does.
Fair enough. All right.
And I'll feed the remainder of my time to that guy.
Pops, what do you think?
Well, I get to come at it from the fan point of view, guys. You guys are creators, and you guys have to, like he just was kind of doing, tiptoe around what you're going to say a little bit. You have to be careful what you say. I don't. I'm the fan. Politics outside of comics is not good for comics. It turns fans off. There's stuff that people won't buy because of banners being flown. And I know this for a fact because I've had people tell me that they would buy that book except for where it's being sold flies that banner. Okay? Damage to sales isn't because of the books. It's because of the politics.
It just says I'm a fan first. I don't think anyone's going to get upset about that, but we'll find out Monday morning. That was the problem.
You know, I'm just saying, I've had people come to me and say, I'm not backing books on that platform because of what they're doing. And that's hurting us.
Now, who's doing it?
Well, who's doing what?
Well, I don't know. You said,
Indiegogo and Kickstarter, they're both doing it. I didn't want to go exactly into the thing, okay? It's a general thing. It's a banner they're flying. It's money they're donating to, you know, people they're donating your money to as a fan who buys books and as a creator who pays them to put your books on their platform. And some people won't buy through them anymore because they're flying political banners. I've had people tell me they did not buy that book because of that. Okay, that means politics outside the books is hurting the industry and it's taking money out of you guys' pockets.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, that's a direct correlation to what we're talking about. I'll take the, if you're done, Pops, I'll address it. I'm a fan first, obviously. As a fan, I have found some of the storytelling actually exceptional. I've liked a couple of the challenges they've done, and I think they've made a lot of big misses as well. So story-wise, I don't have a problem with anything that's been tried. However, I do get nervous when we start judging a person on traits they never chose instead of talents. I think that's a dangerous thing to do because suddenly we're saying it's like when you have a con dedicated to X. So we'll make it just X. You have to be X to be at this con. You're now assuming that everyone in X is good at what they're doing. And not only that, because you've taken X out of the bigger con system, it almost seems like this is minor league now. Well, you couldn't make it competing with everyone else. So now we made it a lot easier. We've made it all just X's. So now hopefully there's a market that can come just buy X's. I think it's all messy. And that's a problem. We like it was mentioned, this is an industry. And like Pop said, he's a fan. We're supposed to be catering to fans. They shouldn't hear about this background stuff. Is diversity good? Of course diversity is good. But we also have to be mindful that diversity includes even the middle-aged white man. We can't forget that they're part of diversity. Diversity is not everyone but the thing we're trying to get rid of. That stops being diversity, and that's
taking out getting rid of stuff.
Yeah. The minute you have to say we have to get rid of something to have diversity, you've stopped trying to attain diversity. Randy?
Well, I think it's a prime example as to why the independent and alternative market right now is booming, is because you have a lot of people with their own personal voices getting out there from their own personal viewpoints, doing works for other people to read and enjoy. And you're seeing where the money's flowing in, you know, that, and if you want to be negative about that or throw up a poorly educated opinion as to somebody's campaign because they're on the wrong crowdfunding site that you don't personally agree with or whatever, that you're the one that's going to be missing out. You know, we all need to get out there and look with open eyes at all these campaigns, back the ones that we want to read and be entertained by, and let the other ones make their living doing whatever they need to do. You know, and absolutely, the more people at the table, the more viewpoints at the table, especially the well-done viewpoint. And granted, people have to get in there and they have to get their skills. Everybody's got a couple thousand crap pages. in them that they need to do, get out and before they start, if they want to learn the craft, get in the craft, do the craft, and get good at it so that we can enjoy your stuff.
But don't get so good that they don't want to hear about it anymore.
Don't go out there trying to talk to somebody or drag somebody else down because they're still in that 2,000 page bracket of not doing well skilled work if they want to be there. Now, if they don't want to be in comics, they need to go and not be in comics. But if they want to do this art form, we all of us out there ought to be offering a hand and trying to help them creatively and positively, as opposed to being negative and trying to push them down, punch down, or keep them down. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely agree.
But the person has to be willing and really want to work in this business.
That's the key right there.
So now, as the devil advocate question is, does this mean you forgive Kickstarter, Randy?
No. No, in a way, there's some prime products on Kickstarter that deserve to be backed, but there's also some prime campaigns that are on Indiegogo that are being slighted, even though they're quality products, just because the person buying or contributing to the campaign feels that they're on the wrong crowdfunding site. And they got to get back. They got to get past those prejudices.
And do you think anyone even spends the time to really do research and realize that these are just companies that don't really choose as much as people think they do?
Well, that's why we're out here trying to educate people.
It's true. It's true. All right.
You know, you have to approach all of this stuff with open eyes.
Right.
You know, and if you don't agree with what they're doing, don't buy their stuff. Look at the romance comics back in the 50s. Guys weren't buying those.
Oh.
You know, but DC and Marvel sure as heck stopped them in the 70s and 70s and 80s from their perception as to where their demographic was supposed to be at. So history, especially comic history, is filled with a lot of false assumptions.
Yes.
And that absolutely need to be worked out over. And
just a reminder, with TV.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything bad, did I?
No, I'm about to pass Varian. We're just getting
it's reminding Varian to keep it. Hey, keep it clean. No,
before Varian, because I see Varian smile. It's gonna be bad.
Varian's coming on, but yeah, it's all a matter of getting out there and getting educated, finding great stuff, and promoting that, as opposed to dragging somebody else down for, in your perception, doing crap books.
You know? All right. Varian.
Okay. Well, I just want you to repeat the question to me one time, just so we have a frame,
okay,
a reference.
So the question is, I'm trying to think how to frame, because I remember it was long drawn out the way I kind of did it. Do you think politics itself has affected the industry to a point of damaging the industry? I think that's the best way to frame it.
Okay. The answer is
not in the pages.
Yeah, outside. Yeah. Absolutely, because I want to say something.
Wait
a second.
There goes.
There's a soapbox for you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
Give him something to put his leg up on.
Yeah. I have witnessed shit-tastic storylines in the comics, and not just that. I have witnessed creators at the big companies take pot shots at readers who may have said, hey, I didn't like the storyline. Little things. Even on Twitter, I have never seen professionals get so bothered by what someone said to where they seek their followers on them. That right there, politics outside the comics is ridiculous. And it is damaging the industry. It has, and I'll tell you something. You said, has it damaged the industry beyond repair? Yes, it has, because now you have a split. You have the split. You have one particular avenue of the industry that said, goodbye, we're gone. We're going to call ourselves CG, and we're going to go off this way and fuck the rest of you. And then we have, everyone else in the middle. Randy, your hand is waving. Oh.
I just want to say one person's damage is another person's cure.
Right. So now we have these people running off, and here's the problem. Comicsgate has went off that way. They're doing their own thing, and the people in the middle, some people can't stop effing with them. They're gone, and you're still throwing rocks at them. How dare you be able to make money? How dare you? You leave them the fuck alone. What's wrong with you people? Then I've witnessed the fishing expeditions at these companies. And I'm talking about from the big ones to the small ones where you go there. Who are you voting for? What did you have for dinner last night? What position do you screw your wife in? And they want to know so that they can get you out. So they can get you put out of the industry. They want to know.
Is that campaign going to be on one platform or the other? And you tell them, they go,
I've watched them, and then I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you know something. When I started wrestling, when I was a fool, I was 18. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to wrestle, and I went to this wrestling school called Thunder Zone Wrestling in Livonia, Michigan. It was inside of an old Arbor Drugs. I've dated myself, if you know what Arbor Drugs is. And Arbor Drugs had closed down, so these guys have moved into this wrestling. And I actually trained with Zach Gowen, who was a wrestler. He has he's disabled. He has one leg. But the teacher asked us when we come in, he says, "Hey, why do you want to be a wrestler?" Why? And I said, I want to entertain people. Okay, what's the end goal? To be the champion. I want to be champion. You going to be champion here? Well, let it be champion here. Where else? WWF at the time. All right, good. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that you want to climb and be the best. You got people coming to our industry right now because of their politics, because they're failing. They're failing anyway, and they're making. They want a Netflix deal, so they're making comics. That's the quickest way to it, and they don't have the respect. They don't have the they don't have the passion to be in this industry. So they don't have they don't give a fuck about the rules. They don't give a fuck about the tradition and the history. I'm talking about people like the girl. I ain't gonna say her name, but who've been over there at that company shitting on everybody and getting on Facebook and crapping on everybody, and they don't care about the history of the industry. I'm not calling for purity test. I'm not. I'm just saying have some respect. Hell, look, to get into college, you got to take an SAT. I'm just saying, when you go apply for a job at a comic company, it might be a good idea to know the history of the characters, history of the company, something. But no, we can't have that because we want to push our politics into comics, and both sides are guilty of it. I'm not saying one side; both sides have been guilty of it. Yeah. But I'm just talking about what I've experienced. Has been people, and they're so good. They need to find out. They absolutely need to find out if they catch Josh right now trying to climb out the crab bucket of comics and trying to make a name for himself. They're gonna say, "Bring me some dirt on Josh. Bring me something. Let me find out that he when he does his mohawk, he's using animal tested product. Let me find out, so I'm gonna run it up his ass."
He did this Twitter 12 years ago. We can take out of context. Yeah. Let's drive him out of the industry.
I'm sorry. I'm in a foul move and watching DC Fandom. I'm in a foul move.
You opened up the door. First off, I love the passion. That's absolutely true. And that's why I put up the LVMA all, because he covered everything I think in that. But I also want to share this, and this is what's the problem with the politics being as they are now. All right, I made a little diagram. It's another unfortunate sign. Get your offendedness. All right, so here we are with the SJWs. Here's the CG. Here's the middle where I am. Notice how small the middle has gotten. That's the danger. Do you think that all this polarizing sides that we've drawn, all these lines that are around, are hurting comics because it's literally stopping people from working together? We see this. I have seen people get kicked off of books. Pops, you can start it. I've seen people get kicked off of books, kicked off of doing covers because of association, not even necessarily declaration. Go ahead, Pops.
I think it's a lot smaller. It's like a balance beam now. Okay, Varian and I had this conversation the other day. It's almost impossible to stay in the middle. They are forcing either one or the other or both are going to at some point come at you and try to box you into a corner of saying I'm this or that. It's happened to me, you know, it's happened to me on both sides, and I don't care because I'm trying to advocate for everybody. My group has always been about promotions and networking, and the only people that aren't in my group doing promotions and networking are people that have been rude to me personally. Doesn't have anything to do with their product or their politics. Okay, I don't gatekeep on the group. You come in, you're cool. You don't, I mean, that's it. That's the way it's supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to be judging other people. I'm pretty sure that's in the book somewhere.
Well, let me ask you a question as a follow-up. You said that people are judging you on both sides. Can you give us a description
No, I didn't say judging. I was trying to box me into a corner.
Box you in, force you. Give us an example of the difference of the two techniques used. Because I am curious about that if you're saying, because I've personally never had the comic skate side ever threaten me, tell me I had to pick a side, so I've never seen it, but I want to hear how it's.
But have they called you an SJW because you won't pick their side?
No, but I've been called that in the same weekend. I've been called a racist and an SJW in the same exact weekend, and very know what I'm
talking about. That was a weird weekend.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much a conservative. Most everybody knows that. It's not a secret.
No, but you said specifically that comics.
Yeah, a Comicsgate person who hides behind a moniker so you don't know who they are.
So it's
a live stream while I was in a live stream and basically called me an SJW because I wasn't picking a side.
Now, they did ask you on that live stream to pick a side.
More or less, they were like, if you don't pick a side, this is what you are.
Well, do you want to tell us what show that was?
Who show?
So now I'm curious because I've never seen that on the opposite side. I've seen the SJWs deliberately say that to them.
Oh, yeah.
And say that if you don't, it's not even that you have to join them. And I'm going to ask Josh about this.
I don't think there is a join. I don't think there is a join.
Well, no, there kind of is. Like, Josh, is there a joining SJWs? Is there like a newsletter I have to sign up to become an official SJW? Is there a membership card I get?
I don't think so. If there is, I don't know about it.
But from that side, how come if I don't condemn?
That's pretty much what it is. If you don't condemn the other side, then you're evil.
Why is that? Why is that, Josh?
If you're not for us, you're against us.
Where did that come from? Why can't I be in the middle?
Yeah. Okay, now, can I jump back and comment on your middle for a second, Rob?
Absolutely.
You're looking great, buddy. The calisthenics are paying off. I can tell that you're taking care of yourself, and we all appreciate it. Can you put up your diagram again?
Yeah. There we go.
So that diagram represents one frozen moment in time where there's SJW issues on one side, Comicsgate issues on the other side, and the comfortable middle where people don't really care, right? They just want to read their comics. If you move this graph forward or backward in time, what exists in the middle is what is defined by the SJWs of yesterday and the day before. The fact that there are so many different kinds of people, right? Remember when there were no girls at any comic conventions? There were like almost no minorities. It was like all old white Star Trek fans. No disrespect, love it. But you know the I should say stereotypical. So some SJWs or whatever they were called at the time pushed to open those doors a little bit, and then more people were comfortable in the middle, right? Tomorrow, next year, 10 years, whatever from now, that comfortable zone in the middle is going to be defined by the boundaries that are being pushed by today's SJWs.
See, I don't know if I agree with that. It became popular. That was the change. There was no forcement. But
it became popular. It became popular because people liked it. Because people said, hey, you can read this. You can enjoy this. This is for you. This is for everybody.
No, I mean conventions. Conventions, we all know, got popular because of the movies. We all saw it. The movies came out. It exploded.
Nah, it was before. It was spreading out before the movies became what they are. For the thing we're talking about, for the broad cultural stuff today, yes, that's the movies. But even when the movies were a little nichey, when it was just like Spider-Man, when you were... Before that happened, the culture was still opening up. There were still all kinds of new fans. I mean, I kind of pointed at like, you know, bookstores, Persepolis, manga, all these things like that. Teachers starting to teach graphic novels, and like all those things are opening the door, right? That's not pushing older creators out. That's just bringing in new voices, and that's what's comfortable in the middle. What was your next question? I'm sorry.
But I think that was everyone doing that at that point. What I'm saying is I didn't feel a movement. No one was demanding this happen. I'm saying it happened naturally. It was of natural causes. There was no one trying to kick doors open and force anything to happen. And look, it actually happened.
Maybe there were, and you just didn't notice. Maybe there were people with all different kinds of voices and people working their asses off and fighting it and not even making it into the industry. Think about all the people who didn't make it in, whose voices you never heard because there weren't SJWs kicking the doors open for them.
Well, it was crowdfunding and self-printing that gave a lot of creators their gateway in.
Absolutely. I mean, technology, like all that stuff is very leveling. And sorry, go ahead. I'm hogging again.
No. I was just pointing out that had nothing to do. I think it's disingenuous to give credit where credit's not due. Yes, SJWs have done a lot of things. You can't argue that. We have had social movement moments because of that. But comics, I got to argue, I think it was the print on demand that changed the game, and it gave everyone a seat at the table. And that had nothing to do with politics other than financial gain.
I was going to say, and I hate to jump in here. I know it's not my turn, but and maybe that's why I am the way I am, because I never experienced any gatekeeping from me getting in. I didn't. And I mean, I'm an artist and a writer. I never experienced. No one ever said, "Hey, you can't get in." In fact, my first Comic-Con, I walked in with cash on a Saturday morning and said, "Can I get a table?" You're not supposed to do that, obviously. The convention was starting, and I'm like, I'm one day late, and they're like, "Yeah, give us your money." And I got a table and walked in. I never experienced. Now I have had altercations with people since I've been in, and that kind of turned racial. But no one ever stopped me from getting in. Now, that's also not to say that I did not experience some setbacks from people, because there's going to be assholes no matter where you're at. That's going to happen. But when you say that, when we say that we're going to look forward, or we start looking back and we see what SJWs and how that changes, that narrowing gap and widening gap, I think in the future is going to be defined by what side the industry chooses. And I think that the industry, you're seeing it right now of AT&T, the industry is going to choose money.
Yep.
And they're going to start.
And because they're businesses.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And they're acting like it finally.
Well, and not just businesses, but
that might not necessarily be true.
Well, they're going to start. I think they're going to start saying, you know what, this person went and made $200,000. This person went and made $600,000. This guy over here who went and made $1 million by himself. We need to, whatever they're doing, we need to do it. And because I mean, I'm looking at, I got to click the documentary. I looked at the documentary the other day where a guy said that his book got canceled and he had 80,000 comics sold in the 90s. 80,000 comics sold, and that was considered a failure. And now, you imagine selling 80,000 comics? Could you imagine it, guys? 80,000 comics, you're the new king of comics. They're putting you on the cover of I know there's no Wizard magazine anymore, but they'll bring it.
Making a comic good enough people to buy 80,000 copies of it. That's the bottom line right there, bro. So, no, I'm serious now. That's the bottom line. Nobody's selling those kind of numbers.
Yeah, they are. Joker just sold 300,000 copies.
We haven't even read it yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
but Rob, you also have to remember
speculation. That's
one at a time, guys. One at a time.
What Pops is saying. You have to keep in mind Joker might have sold 300,000 copies. That doesn't mean Joker has 300,000 readers.
That
means
true.
that there's enough retailers out there to invest in 300,000 copies of Joker in the hopes that it'll go up. You know, and even the people, even the people walking into the stores buying Joker might not be reading that book as much as picking it up to get it slabbed to keep and hope that it goes up like a stock.
Fair enough, because it wasn't issue number one, and we should point that out. That the
But
issue,
at 300,000 copies, we're talking X-Force numbers comparably then to now. X-Force #1 numbers.
And how many variant covers was on that Joker book too?
4, I believe.
Oh,
Well,
do they count? Then they count
That's
the variant
better.
covers as one book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's better than Eternals, which is coming out with 40 variant covers.
I saw that. Crazy. But back to the center here.
All right, sorry.
Of the topic. No, it's fine because it's a natural place to go. We were asking Josh though. Josh.
Oh, all right. Yes, Rob, you mentioned like gatekeeping. I'm sorry. Do I know about or have I experienced? Obviously, there's extreme blah blah blah. The only time I can think of that where that would make sense to me if it was some pretty extreme issue, as in if Rob, you did a comic where the heroes are Klansmen who lynch a black guy, and
Well,
I'm going to say.
I think that's over the line, and I don't want to go down that any further.
I think that's
Fair enough.
absolutely
But I'm
legal.
saying, okay, I'm sorry. Let me remove that example. But just say something really obviously extreme, and then somebody is still refusing to go, oh, I disapprove. Like, at that point, yeah, you got to say something.
Well, let me ask you for the Devil Advocate show. I held up this sign. Does it offend you?
What's it say at the bottom?
Ally.
Offend?
Would you start to try to go behind my back, try to get Varian to get my show pulled off? Would you, especially if someone had just asked me a question about Comicsgate, is that enough to get me in trouble because I said I dare allied with people who are in Comicsgate? And of course, being an advocate, I have to do that. That's my job because I advocate for comics, not politics.
The only thing that would raise a question mark in my head is I'm like, if he's such a wide, well-known ally of everyone who makes comics, why is it important enough to single out that issue as an ally?
Good question. Black Lives Matter. Why is it? Why do we have to say it? Because obviously it needs to be said. Comicsgate right now, if you identify as Comicsgate, it's okay to open season on you. So it's got to be a moment where it has to be said that they're still human beings, they're still creators, and they still get a seat at the table. That's why I had to say it, because people forgot to treat them like human beings. You literally have King going around, oh, well, this guy was a Comicsgate, and he wasn't even a Comicsgate guy. And he tried to destroy someone's career based on innuendo and rumors. And what if he was Comicsgate, Tom? Why is that a problem? He didn't hurt you. He didn't force you to be Comicsgate. It's a dangerous line. It's McCarthyism. Did anyone read a history book about McCarthyism? That's exactly what's beginning in comics right now. This McCarthyian era of, well, if you're not against CG, then you must be for them. And it's like, well, do you even see the CG headquarters? Is there even a billboard which explains anything this to anyone? Well, how did we get here where you think they're like freaking Cobra and Hydra? They're not that well put together because they're not an organization. They're an idea. They're a thought. Where do we get there, Josh? That's my concern.
Again, on the outside of all of these groups, really, if they're groups, whatever. To me, and I admit that this is logic, because the reputation is so bad to me, in my perception, because I perceive that the reputation of that group is so bad, going out of your way to align yourself with that bad reputation is immediately questionable. Now, Rob, when you say...
Wait a minute. That point, you look at that point, that's
Let me finish. I think I'm going to
Josh,
go somewhere with it.
I just want to make a point on what you just said. That exact line of thinking could also apply with skin color.
And anything
That's the same level of prejudice.
anything
Now, hold
else.
on. Now, when I say questionable, that's all I mean. Questionable. As in, I will ask Rob, what do you mean by that? And if he says what he said about, hey, I'm advocating for all voices, blah, 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 like, then the question is answered and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but on the SJW side, I've had my fetish book tried to be canceled because all it does is abuse women.
Okay, but Rob, I will stay back. I know you. Other people know you. You do not have a pattern of behavior that indicates that that is your thinking. So when that is put out there, when somebody says, cancel Rob for being a misogynist, enough people go, I haven't seen that from him. I don't know that, right?
But why
Whereas
should
if it was the other way, if you had a ton of people standing up and going, actually, yeah, then that's to me when it snowballs.
So what about all the people that don't know who Rob is and they heard that shit and they won't buy his book because they heard it?
Yep. And they did it just because they don't want to
All
take.
this cancel culture bullshit, man. Everybody's trying to take a shot at somebody else because they don't have the same beliefs, and that's the problem.
And Rob, your book has that key word, fetish,
I know. Ooh.
that a lot of people are scared of and haven't bothered to become educated about.
Yeah. And
The same can apply with any label.
And that's the SJW side, attacking
Yeah.
you for that, especially because I was a male who wrote a female character. That was a big one with the SJW side. I'm just saying both sides have some ugly behavior. If you don't,
let me completely cop to that, Pops. What you said about the cancel culture rampage, there is a certain power to being able to like push that button, and people get addicted to it. People look for the next person. People go around with their cancel guns drawn, looking for a target. That does happen. I'm not saying like.
And that is why a place like the Madness exists, where you can always come and show off your stuff and present your stuff to people with nobody talking crap.
Well, I want to piggyback on that. I want to piggyback on
what
Josh and Pops just said. When they come at you with the cancel gun drawn, Pops has the Madness, which is it's a Facebook group. It's fair to say, right, Pops?
Yep.
Facebook group. Couple almost. How many members now?
1,500 people.
1,500 people.
All different. No.
Rob's been doing the comics advocate. He's been the comic book advocate for years now. I want to say over 5 years.
Way more.
Yeah, so he's been doing it for a while. Indie Volt's 3 years old now. Costs me a lot of money to do every month. And these are the people that you are bullying because you want them to choose a side when they said, hey, I just want to push comics. I don't care about the person behind the book. I'm here to promote the product, not the person behind it. If I can push the person behind it because they got a charming personality or they've got a nature about them that it goes with the book, that's great. That's terrific. But let me talk about this book I just read. It's great, and I want you to read it too. The problem is that when somebody from either side comes and pushes you and tries to cancel you, here's the problem. It's like I know most of these people, because you can tell from looking at them, they haven't been in relationships. But let me tell you something. If your significant other is hanging out because there's problems in the relationship and they're hanging out with somebody that you feel is trying to steal them away, maybe not be a dick to them, because sooner or later you're going to find out not only are they hanging out with that person, but they're sleeping with them now.
I'm buying their books too.
Yeah, so you keep pushing us. You keep pushing us into the arms of that lover over there with those big, strong, accepting arms, and that's exactly where we'll end up at. Because you can't keep pushing us. You can't keep trying to cancel us. We'll leave. Okay, you know what? I see I'm not wanted here. I'm trying, but you don't want me. When you all of a sudden I'm going to block guests from coming on your show. I'm going to talk smack about you behind. Okay, well, I guess who wants to come on the show? All these SJWs want to come on the show. So I'm going to have all these SJWs on. Or all these CGs want to come on the show. So I'm going to have nothing but CG on because they haven't turned their back on me. And then now you
let the ladies loose, guys. Just be careful when you let the ladies.
You have turned me into the thing that you said I was, and because you tried to cancel me. Because right now there is no policy. There's 2 people who can't come on Indie Vote. 2. That's it. There's 2 people that can't come on Indie Vote. There's no massive.
There's 3.
Is it 3? Okay, 3 people that can't come on Indie Vote. That is it.
Really, there's 4.
If we had my
No, just kidding.
If you had my list, we're about 10, but still, it's started with a couple billion. We're good.
But okay. So
I used to be on Rob's list. So.
So it's like you guys quit pushing people and to becoming what it is you hate, because you're telling them, hey, you can't, you have to pick a side. I don't want to pick a side. I don't want to pick a side.
Can someone explain that to me? Because that's a great point. Why do you have to pick a side? Anyone, please explain it. I'm stupid. I am dumb because I don't understand why I have to pick a side. Same as in politics, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm in the middle. I'm independent.
You guys all sell books, right? You guys all sell books, right?
Yes, everyone except for you.
Why does anybody who sells books want to shoot themselves in one of their feet and take away half their customer base?
Well, I mean, in fairness, though, Pops, if you're selling Trump in space and you're trying to take it serious, you have shot yourself in the foot.
That's a pretty small niche. That's a pretty small niche. We're talking about
no. I want to know how politicians got comic books suddenly. Like they're making the Canadian guy.
I think Reagan might have been the first one, wasn't he?
Oh no,
Kennedy.
No.
Farther back than that.
Roosevelt.
Yes, okay. Roosevelt. Yeah.
He was all over the comics back during World War II.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the war effort comic.
Oh yeah.
But does anyone
just look at that propaganda? Though back then you really didn't have a divided side, because it was all of us versus them. That's back when Human Torch decided that his personal boundary against burning people would be lifted as long as they were Japs or the N-words, so that he can burn those people alive. But everybody else, he knows it hurts everybody else.
Second N-word. The second N-word.
The second N-word. Well, no, the third N-word is nerf herder.
Yeah.
He means the one that the liberal side causes the Republican side.
Yeah.
Well,
thankfully, Varian knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I do want to get back to this, though, because we didn't answer. Yeah. Does anyone in the room have a good reason why someone can't be in the middle anymore? That's a real question.
We all want to. That's where we want to be. I don't understand why somebody wants to take that from me. What I'm trying to do is promote everybody's books. Why would you want to make me only be able to promote one side or whatever? What's wrong with promoting all indie books?
Josh, do you have anything to add to that? Because I thought I saw you lift your hand.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone else would need to pick a side. If somebody hasn't picked a side on either on the broad issue of like SJW versus CG, which we're making up, or on, whatever tighter issues we might be actually talking about right now, the reason why I personally feel like it's important for me to identify my broad politics, and when I say broad politics, I mean the politics of broads. Am I right, guys?
No, that's him. No hate mail with Josh Dahl.
No, I mean, so you guys can go ahead and save that one if you need to cancel me later.
Down there. There we are. The opinions expressed of the following broadcast are not necessarily those of Indie Volt Media, LLC, its staff, contributors, or sponsors. Your discretion is advised.
Whoa. What do you mean broadcast? No, I'm sorry. So the reason that I feel like it's important for me, I never identify myself as SJW unless that's easier for someone else to understand. Like for this conversation, yes, that's the side I'm on. But the reason it's important for me to let people know like where my politics do and don't stand is because I want to make, when I'm at a convention specifically, and all the different ways that I present myself in the world, when I'm at a convention, I know how I appear. I am an above average size, straight white man with a mohawk and punk rock t-shirts. I intimidate some people. I know that happens. And I know people from people don't know what to make of me. I want people who might go, I don't know if that book's for me. That guy looks like he's a weirdo. I don't know. I want to be able to say, everyone is welcome here. If you see or something like that. You guys, I feel like you kind of get my point. The reason why I want to say I am an SJW, just so that if somebody is questioning, like, do I have a voice in this room? They can, yes, you do.
I think that one of the reasons that it's important to people to pick a side is because, one, they are looking desperately for a sense of belonging. They're looking for some people love some people they want a hive, they want the whisper network, or they want to be able to. They want to know who they can be safe around talking. Hey, you know what? I don't like that person. I don't like this person. There's always a safety. There's always a human safety in knowing someone else agrees with you. It's why your spouse, you have to kill them to tell you they're going to divorce you because they know everything. You're like, you can't leave. You know where the bodies are buried. But the thing is, and I've said this before on the show. I was at a show, and the person probably will unfriend me if they're watching.
That's why you never bury your bodies, buddy. You're supposed to melt them. Go ahead. Go ahead. Never mind.
I was at a show, and a table had a sign. And I've told Rob this before, and I think Randy's listening as well.
Yeah.
And the sign said LGBTQ safe space at their table. And it irritated me. And the person came over to me later, and they said, hey, they're talking to me, and the conversation came to about their because they had an LGBTQ flag as well, and they told me about the table sign. I was like, yeah, I seen it. I don't too much like it, and they got mad at me. Why don't you like it? They didn't get mad, but they got testy with me. Why don't you like it? I want people to know this. My table is safe space. I said because this whole con is a safe space, and if anybody who's LGBTQ plus comes in this con and they don't feel welcome and they feel threatened by anybody here, they can come tell me, let alone security, and we're going to get the problem handled. This whole con is safe space. You putting on your table is pandering. Oh, give me your gay dollars. That's what it sounds like to me. Instead of just saying, hey, come over here. This whole place is it. That's why I know some people who don't want to go. They didn't want to go to the. I had a con to set up a LGBTQ square. All the creators there were LGBTQ, and that's fine. But then I talked to some creators and said, I don't want to go in that space. I don't want that to be why you came to buy my comic. I don't want. Same way if you were to set up an all black aisle. Which happens. It happens. And sometimes sometimes I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure it's not on purpose. I was like, what the heck happened? It's everybody I know. It just you wonder about that. I just think it's limiting you. And the pick a side in this industry just seems like you said, shooting yourself in the foot. I don't want 50% of that audience. I don't want 50% of that audience. In fact, if you pick a side, I mean, look, guys, these people are playing for keeps. They're not playing for next season. See you next season. You picked the wrong team. They're playing for keeps. Well, you see, they're going back pulling up tweets from 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you think they're going to forget what you did last year if all of a sudden the side you choose dissolves? You think they're gonna let you just come back to making comics? No, they're gonna pull back all the shit. Well, you were with these guys. You will be hunted like Al Pacino in that movie. What's it called? The ones on Amazon where they're hunting. You will be hunted down. They'll be pulling up shit for you for the rest of your life. And here he is, shaking Ethan Mascariver's hand. Oh, here he is, here. And it'd be a picture from 1992. Rob has one, but
behind his icon.
Yeah. But it's really sad, and I think choosing a side, you can if you must. That's fine, because sometimes your ideals just line up, and they just dovetail with a particular side. They just do, and that's fine. If you have to choose a side. But if you own a media network, you own an Indie Vault, a Comic Book Advocates, a Madness, a Geek Insider, and you pick a side, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
You can't. That's not what advocating for creators is. It's just not possible for you to pick a side. You have to stay neutral. No matter how much one side hits you and the other one stabs you in the back, you got to stay in the middle because that says something. That's a moment of definition. That's a moment of, hey, we're not backing down. So the groups that are making the most noise, I want you to know I am the vengeance of advocating, and I'll be here after you're gone.
Yeah. And polarizing yourself in one way or the other without really understanding the situation cuts out at least half of this market.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and it's
what
a
I'm saying.
mistake.
As a fan,
It's a mistake. It's a mistake to do.
As
You
a
need to
fan-
get educated. You need to know what's going on. Sorry, some of it's not pretty. Some of it's nasty on everybody's side, but you need to know what's happening in order for you to make an informed decision, or else you're going to miss out on some great comics. Just saying.
No, I completely agree. I'm just checking to see. For some reason, we haven't had comments, which is weird. I don't think anyone wants to screenshot.
Is anybody commenting out there? Or you just don't want to.
I
Just don't wanna talk.
haven't seen any in this stream, but I was going to go look. No, nobody's commenting in the group either.
They are mystified by our conversation.
They don't want to have a
They're
screenshot.
actually talking about it, I think.
How many listeners do we have on Indie Vote Radio right now?
Right now, we're Rob. Right now, we're at 56,802.
There we go.
Six.
Yeah. And I do have a question from Indie Vote Radio. And this one is from Bangladesh, and this person says, I'm
Awesome.
glad that what you're talking about has not reached my shores yet. It sounds unbearable. Well, here's the thing. And that's Sam. Here's the thing, Sam. It has. If you get Marvel, DC Comics over there, it's reached your shores. If you have an indie comic book creation scene, maybe not. If it hasn't, if you don't have one, but it will. It will eventually. There is a side of this where they're making us pick sides, and it's really ridiculous. Now I think we can all decide that we like Josh's pup.
That is so cute. Is that a girl or boy dog?
Why does it matter, Rob? Why do you need to know?
Yeah, really.
I want to use proper pronouns. How does it identify, gosh? Fucking SJW.
Identifies as a
That's
dog. I
Banjo.
would think.
He's a boy. That's Banjo.
Oh, okay. Jesus, just an SJW like black. Doesn't matter. Because God chose a side. Just tell me what.
Well, and again, your writer from Bangladesh is fortunate that he's outside of the United States when it comes to the comics situation, because everywhere else but here, the comic artist, the comic creator is looked at as a true artist, and most of the time, true artists are able to apply their opinion, especially independent or alternative artists, in their work. Instead of having to deal with social media and worried about getting branded or worried about that text that they made 12 years ago.
Now, here's the question I have, and I agree with everything Randy just said, so I have to ask, how come SJWs can form something on one side but not step up in videos like this to defend their side? How come they can only make little tweets, little comments? And I give Josh a lot of credit. Josh has always stood up. He's always spoken his mind very eloquently. I don't necessarily always agree with him, but he's here being vocal. That's a rarity on that side. That side does not come up to videos because they're afraid my words will get twisted. Do you ever think maybe you're using the wrong words and that's why they get twisted so hard? What do you think, Josh? Why is it that SJWs don't want to come onto shows like these? Open platform, speak your mind, have at it. Why aren't you here right now talking to us?
I don't know.
We shouldn't
If I had to
expect
take
Josh to speak for everybody, too, by the way.
Well, I'm just asking from his point of view.
Yeah.
Only not speaking for anyone else, but just your point of view. Have you noticed that? I'll make it softer.
Fair enough. Just speaking, not speaking from experience, but just trying to guess like trends. Just because Comicsgate is a thing that more people kind of self-identify and even go to like Comicsgate groups on Reddit or whatever Comicsgate people use. Like it seems like it's a little bit more, not necessarily, okay, dude. Seems like it's a little bit more a body, right? Like here's what I'm saying. It's a lot easier if you say, can I talk to someone who is a Comicsgater? There are people who go, oh yeah, I am. But like when you say, can I talk to someone who's an SJW? You know me, Rob. I always say, well, I'm not really an SJW unless it's in a format like this.
Okay, but I mean, would you think also maybe it's because, and this is something someone had said, do you think that it's because the SJW side has really turned a little vile with always calling people Nazis they don't agree with? Like there's a bad name with SJW a little bit now too. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I don't know the phenomenon you're talking about, but I trust you. I don't know what, but so I would actually think that would point to the opposite. When it gets to that point where people are spewing that kind of bleh, seems like they would be more eager to get on the shows like this. So that tells me there's some X factor that we're not considering. There's some other reason.
Well, because I think they don't want to be filmed saying it. You can't take back film saying it. You could say, well, I typed it, I didn't understand who it was. But in this conversation, you can't take those cheap shots. That's my point. In a comment section, it's easy to take a cheap shot. Right now, we're seeing each other. We're interacting as human beings. We're all acknowledging that we're living beings and seeing each other for human. While on a thread, it's easy to be like, oh, you're just a Nazi. Could you imagine someone in the middle of this conversation, very civil conversation, very open, back and forth dialogue, beautifully being done, and suddenly I turn around and go, well, that's just because you're an SJW, Randy. What else do I expect from you? That would end any civil conversation in this room. You can't do those tricks here. I'm just assuming, and I'm putting it out there, these are not Josh's words. These are my words.
And that's exceptionally easy to do when you have to conform to 148 characters on Twitter. Very easy to do. But Rob, there's an old saying, and I don't know who said it first. It's an old quote that says, "Better to be quiet and appear a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt." That's why you're not getting a lot of open discussion around here, is because, or not around here, but in this industry, is because there's a lot of people out there that don't take the time to get the education and become informed as to what's going on. Reinforce your opinions by actual learning, education, facts, than to just jump on, well, somebody said this guy was horrible. Well, obviously, they must be a bigot.
I also want to say that there are shows that lean one way and the other, and we all know there are.
Yeah.
So that shows you right there that some claim one side and some claim the other side. Mm-hmm. And we all pretty much have shows that are completely inclusive. And, unless somebody don't be a nigga, but other than that, completely inclusive. We include anybody to come out and make sure that their voice is heard. I do on my shows and in my con. I don't exclude anybody. You guys don't exclude anybody. Now, there are shows that are pretty one-sided echo chambers, and they don't have what we have, which is the open discourse. They have bam, bam, bam. This is bad. That's bad. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I would also ask. I see on Vic King sent the question in here. SJWs believe that they believe they have control of comics, and they do so far as the mainstream. Why risk their narrative? And that's important. That's a good point. Why come on shows and speak up? Because they have the high ground right now. The problem is they have the high ground visually, optically. We're starting to see the sales numbers and some of these companies tell us otherwise.
I was going to say that's not what the dollars say.
And you know what? I would not want to be I know they can't get brought up on charges, but I would not want to be an editor-in-chief right now who's been smiling, posting comments saying, comics are the best year ever, guys. We've made more this year than before. It's like you willingly lied to people about how much you were making. And now, you look at DC. DC didn't cancel those books because they were making money. Nobody except Google cancels something that's working. Okay? Google's the only company that does that. Okay.
Well, Microsoft, but that's stretching the point.
Oh yeah. Now,
got stuff that works though.
And I want to say this too about your thing, Pops. You said that we have shows that lean left and right, and you're right. There are shows that, just like our news organizations, there are shows that lean. I have to wonder though. Some of those shows, I've seen shows that were not leaning at first. They were not. And then something started to happen, and you start wondering what happened here. And now some of them are either and unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and say this, and this might get some hate mail. I've seen more shows turn right and go, and go towards CG, and you start wondering what the hell is going on. And we've had CG people come on the show, and it's really funny. We've had people with CG and SJWs on the show, but they do not mention their allegiances. And then I look and they're Facebook friends, and they're talking on Facebook. And I said, the minute those two figure out that the other one is a part of this group, watch and see what happens. And it does. I just feel like we're living in a particular time where now we're gonna all, I hate to say this, but guys, we're gonna all have to make the decision one way or another. There's no version of this story where we get to stay in the middle.
I don't know about that.
Now look, this is what I'm gonna say, because now some of these shows also, when they get big and they get monetized, and their sponsors decide what they say. And
Woohoo, sponsors!
Woohoo! Don't forget about the money, Varian.
Yeah.
That's follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why we're burning in the background right now?
Follow the money, because come on, man, you know it. It's like if they come to me and say, "Hey, man, I'll give you a big old chunk of money if you just put this hashtag." Now, if I'm dead against their whole thing, then yeah, I probably wouldn't do it. But if I'm like, you never know. I mean, the right amount of money, we all know the right amount of money might just change our whole life, not just, you know what I mean? So that could be what's happened to some of these people. The amount of money that they're being exposed to is pretty much made their label,
So
Pregnant pause there.
Nobody wanted to say nothing. Yeah,
I was muted.
What's
No,
our
I was
video
muted.
number?
We are at 59,600 now.
Slowly climbing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Josh, how much money is it going to take you to go, Josh Dahl to go Comicsgate? I want to know. Give me the number. What's the number?
How hard do I have to go? Can I reveal after I get the money?
You just have to wear the hashtag.
You just have to hashtag everything from this point on Comicsgate. Like, you have to be like, I hate how Comicsgate is separating comics. Hashtag
How much
Comicsgate.
money, man? Come on. How much money?
How much would it take for me to hashtag all of my social media posts, regardless of the content?
No.
I just have to include a hashtag?
No, just comics posts.
And if someone asks you for Comicsgate, like you could be in the middle of a protest for Black Lives Matter, and someone goes, "Aren't you Comicsgate, Josh Dahl?" And you have to be like, "Yeah, I'm Comicsgate."
I would do that for $5 a hashtag.
$5, that's not bad, because he's going to post a lot. I can already see it.
Available, guys. Comicsgate available for just $5 a hashtag.
Can somebody outbid me? Somebody got a better offer?
No, but do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's why some of them went one way or another. It could have been the sponsors of their shows. It could have been just straight monetization. You just, I mean, the right amount of money, people do things. And I'm not saying everybody sells out, but some people do,
Well, I will say, I've talked to people and they told me, the people who come on the show, and Rob knows this, they've told me adding that hashtag added a 0 to their campaign. And, it's one of those things where you start to wonder, wait a minute, am I selling to the wrong people? You start to wonder, am I really
the wrong people supporting your project?
Yeah, I mean, like,
the one thing it has, or it is doing, is that it's making more people actually get educated.
But see, is it? Because I've seen a lot of dumb idiots out there listen to two of their friends and then jump in that crab bucket. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, actually, it is. You just said it. People are turning more right. So yeah, education is forcing people to go right.
And again, I don't even think it's a matter of turning right. It's a matter of finding out or deciding where you want to stand in the consumer movement.
Yeah, whatever side you choose,
political movement.
Whatever side you choose is right for you. But I'm just saying there are idiots who will not take like they come on Indie Vote and they're like, I don't want the education. I don't want to listen to this. I'm going to go do. Yeah, I'm going to go do my own thing, and I'm going to listen to these two guys who are in the crab bucket.
3 guys.
And they promised.
4 guys,
These 2 or 3 guys who are in the crab bucket said they're going to make me a star, and I'm going to go ahead with them. And then you're going to find out. The point is, I've seen people not get the education. They listen. They'll call up their buddy. Hey, tell me about this. I mean, how many times have you? And I cringe every time I see it. Someone will go into a Facebook group and say, "Hey, what is Comicsgate?"
Yeah,
motherfucker. There's Google. There's YouTube. There's all this shit. But you're gonna go ask somebody what it is so they can tell you their version.
Hey, everybody, what's Comics?
I got
my group. I just flat deleted them because we ain't going.
They're not ready to get educated. They're just, you know.
I got art books over there. And those look, I'm talking about by masters, and that's fine. And I've learned from those books, but I cannot take everything in that book. I have to apply it to what I want to do stylistically, because that book is going to teach me how to draw like Hogarth. That book is going to teach me how to draw like Jim Lee. That book is going to teach me how to draw like Mike Turner. It is not going to tell me how to draw like Varian Grant.
Yep.
That book is going to tell me how Scott McCloud understands comics. If you fucktards don't just go get an education, go pick up a goddamn. You don't even have to read. It's so easy. It's YouTube. You can listen to the video. It's not that hard.
You're in that box, buddy. You're in that box.
Go back just 2 years and look at the videos and look what's happening. I don't care what side you choose. Just do some goddamn research. It ain't that hard. Most of you people, I swear, you would have used what's the name of that essay? The essay you can cheat and get your college papers.
essay.
Course Hero. I swear, most of you people probably use Course Hero in college. I'm not going to write this paper. I'm just going to go copy and change this and this around. That's what you do. I'm not gonna listen. I'm just gonna go make an opinion. And you say this is the person bad. You say extra W's are the bad guys. Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
And they go and no research. You say Comicsgate is the bad guy. Okay, I believe you. If you don't get off your ass and do some research, and then you get mad, you come on my show and call you out on it. I want to say hello to Simon. Sim is in the chat. Hello, Simon. Simon else says hell.
Get an education.
Yeah. Says hail at King Vic. 100% research is Meredith. Yeah, just do some research. Josh has been around. He's done the research. He's made his decision. He is willing to die on the hill because he's done the research. And I can respect that.
Unless you have $5.
Unless you have $5. Which,
well, it's going to take more than that.
Times are tough.
10.
Listen. Times are that we all.
Did I hear 10? 10? Going once? 10?
But just do a little. It's not going to hurt you. I promise. Just do the research. Find out where you really fit in. No matter what, the choice you make is yours, and that's the right choice.
The cool thing is you can even be in the middle.
You could.
You can even be in the middle. You don't have to choose a side. Look, free will, baby.
But you know, you can't be that asshole that's jumping back and forth. You're gonna use these tactics but claim this side because we've seen that. We've seen people do that.
A name just almost came out. Like that's how like, right away, a name will come right out of my mouth. Oh, you mean because like there's a few. There are people who are like, oh well, I'm not a Comicsgate person. I want their money. So don't tell anyone I don't support comics. Those people annoy me more. I don't mind an SJW with principles. I mind the person who's trying to dip both ways and shit on everybody. And we have a few of those.
Do I know some? If I know some of those, you need to like send me a private message.
I just want people to stop just making these assumptions about either side and just go get an education. We have people on the show that are from either side, and they are good creators who just want to entertain. That's all they want to do. Even if they fly the flag of either side, that's all they fucking want to do. And to ask me, why do you have that asshole on your show?
You stop commenting about me, guys. I'm going to be here. I already got a show. Leave it alone. Stop bothering.
And I mean, look at it, Rob. Your sign got me emails.
And no one came to me about it. They were too afraid.
It's like your sign got me emails, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll handle it by. We made a joke today. What am I gonna do? Punish Rob? Have you read this man's comics? What am I gonna do? Punish him? They'll
Harder.
It'll look like a Jackson.
I haven't yet.
It'll look like a Jackson Pollock painting. So I'm not gonna punish him. I'm taking your show away. That makes no sense. Okay, Rob. Here's what you did. Let's discuss this. Rob, have you know him? Have you talked to this man? He's not gonna stop. In fact, if you would have said nothing, he would have stopped. But no. You had to Mark Wade it. You had to push an agenda, and I'm gonna push this. I'm gonna get him to stop. And now look, now he won't stop.
Now he's a fan.
I actually answered my son the other day holding up a sign.
It's like you had to Mark Wade it. You could not stop. Oh, I'm gonna write to somebody about this shit. Why didn't you just let him go? He would have stopped. Don't you realize if you just leave him alone, he won't do it? But at the same time, Rob, if you do something totally egregious, I understand people getting in your ass. I understand it. Like, here's the thing, I could understand how that sign could piss somebody off if they felt like they had been harassed by them. I could understand how that could piss somebody off and how they would come and say, hey, I was harassed by those people. They called my wife a slut and a whore and all this stuff. And how dare you ally with them? I get that. But nobody...
Asking for a friend, what if their wife is a slut and a hoe? I mean, like, is that really picking on them or just telling the truth?
Well, in this industry, that the problem is if she is...
that research.
If she is, she's probably got a comic out. Anyway, but the thing is, I didn't
expressed in this show or not necessarily.
I'm sorry, I've been drinking. The problem is, they don't have.
I had to do that for you, bro.
if you put out those comics, if you put out good comics, the audience will come the minute you. Because I don't know what Stanley voted for. I don't know who Jack Kirby voted for. I got a suspicion who Steve Ditko voted for, but but the thing is, no one cared. They just wanted those comics. That's all they want. That's all we want today is comics. I don't care who you're voting for. Just make a good goddamn book. That's it. That's all Josh is asking for. He doesn't. Josh, you're not turning down any Comicsgate money if they send it to you, are you?
No.
I'm not turning.
He thought about it too. You saw he went up and went like, "Why would I turn money away?" Like that was what he thought. Like, who does that?
But there are some people who will. They'll be like, "Nope, I don't want your dollar. Here's it. Take it back."
Yep.
Okay, my question to creators who have picked a side: when you get your backer list, do you go down the list and say, "I'm not selling to that guy. I'm not selling a book to that guy. I'm not selling a book to that guy"? That's bullshit. And you know you don't.
We're
sell to whoever backs you.
We're having Mike Wheeler joining us. Mike, what's going on? What's on your mind? What brings you to us?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
How's it going, Mike?
Good.
Talk to us.
Yeah. Just hanging out, man. Just seeing what you guys are up to.
Just talking about the fact that there are crab buckets hurting people in the industry, and we're trying to figure out if that is as damaging as we all fear it is. Basically, what's your take on it? What's your hot? What do you identify as the side? Are you Comicsgate, SJW, or moderate, or prefer not to say?
Well, I'm not Comicsgate, that's for sure. Okay. I'm pretty. Well, I guess you could say I'm a little right leaning.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So you're a creator, right, Mike?
No, actually, I built a platform for creators called Indie Crowdfund.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I left for a second. I had to join a debate on the level of chocolate currently in Cocoa Krispies, but I'm back now. So,
well, answer the question.
Mike, how's that indie crowdfund site working?
Well, all the meat and potatoes are there. We're just polishing it up a little bit. Needs a little bit of a spit shine, and it's going to be off and running.
Well, now let me ask you a question. Go ahead, Randy.
I know we had Mindy on. What was it? Thursday? No, not. It was Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, yeah.
We had her on Tuesday night, and she was telling us about it. Sounds real good.
Oh man, and we're so excited about it. We think it's really going to do well. We think it's going to do well for you guys, and that's who we built it for.
Well, then let me ask you that. How do you stay neutral? Because I guess that would be a perfect topic for you right now. How do you intend to stay away from being claimed? Because apparently Kickstarter was claimed by someone. And yes, there's a little bit of history. I know, Randy. I know about the center of that. And then Indiegogo has now been claimed more by Comicsgate. How do you stay away from that as a business owner?
Well, it's easy. You just don't support it.
What do you mean you don't support it? We're just trying to get a baseline.
Well, you don't put the hashtag Black Lives Matter at the top of your webpage, for one. You don't make political donations to political affiliation. You don't contribute money to either the Democratic or the Republican Party. Not company money, anyway. You don't get involved in arguments online between people. I mean, if they have a problem, they need to take it before a judge and jury and not the court of public opinion. So, I mean, it's really easy to not get involved if you just don't listen to idiots.
No gatekeeping in this crowdfunding. It don't matter who you're affiliated with, as long as you're not doing anything illegal.
I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, gay, straight, lesbian, disabled, not disabled, mentally deficient, a genius. It doesn't matter, man. I mean, I'm not holding anybody back from using this platform, and I'm not going to either.
So, Mike, I have a question, and I hope that you know a lot more about this than I do, because I'm just speaking as an outside observer. I have kickstarted a couple comics. I pay attention from the outside. So it seems to me, and again, I'm talking a little bit out my butt, so please correct me if I'm wrong here, that Indiegogo did not take a principled pro-Comicsgate stand, but rather Kickstarter did take some sort of political stand, which washed out everyone who didn't want to take that political stand, and those people wound up at Indiegogo. How do you avoid something like that? If you're not taking a stand, how do you avoid becoming the ghetto for everyone who is avoiding taking a stand or has some objectionable opinion that a stand-taking platform would reject?
I think the main goal should be of any operation is to provide a quality product. You should come back to providing that quality product and that quality of service to the people that you are servicing. If you do that, you're not going to have to worry about an influx or outflux of people, because what you want to do as a business owner is attract quality clientele and repeat business. And I mean, if you keep throwing your hat in the ring and then taking it out, throwing your hat in the ring, taking it out, I mean, eventually you're going to get your hat dirty.
Now, Randy, do you want to just update our listening audience to exactly the controversy behind the Kickstarter platform? Because I also think, I don't know if Josh even knows what happened.
Well, that really goes back to the start of Comicsgate. They had a gatekeeper there for a while that decided that if you were right-leaning or too far right-leaning, they weren't going to allow you to do a Kickstarter campaign. So they rejected your campaign, and they wandered over to Indiegogo.
That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right.
That's the whole of it. But there also needs to be pointed out now that gatekeeper no longer has her job at Kickstarter, because Kickstarter had such a tremendously huge percentage drop in sales right before the pandemic hit. They dropped through the floor.
I want to say something. I want to ask Mike this, because I've gone through it, and I was warned by another individual who created a platform to help indie creators, and I don't want to say his name because he might not want to be involved in this, but anybody who's come on the show, they kind of know who I'm talking about. Who's come on Indie Vault, they know. He told me, he says, listen, at some point, people are going to bitch at you about being on your website, on your show, on any of your platforms. We got a radio platform. We got a television platform, a streaming network. We had an internet radio platform. And there are people who sometimes get mad because we have a different person on that they don't like. And he told me, he said, people have asked me to remove their content because I have this person on. With Indie Crowdfund, are you prepared for that type of situation? Someone saying, hey, remove my content from the site because you have these people on.
It would be up to the creator to remove their content. And I mean, once they have a funding campaign up and they've collected money from any individuals, I mean, they're just going to end up pissing off their fans at that point, because they're going to have to, they end up refunding their fans. But I mean, if they want to remove their content, it's going to be on them. It's not going to be me.
It shouldn't even get to that point, because look, we're letting everybody know ahead of time. We don't care who you are. You're going to be on. If you want to be on, you can be on. So if you are worried about other people being on the format, research, check who's on there, do the research before you put your campaign up on the Indie Crowdfund.
And
because we're not out here to make the fans get screwed. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure the fans can get any content.
And see, guys,
hold on. I want a clarification, then Varian, then you, Mike. Pops, you're talking like you're an owner in this. Is that accurate?
I'm pretty deep in it. I've been staying right involved with it, and I have some input. I've been putting in suggestions. If you look at the web page, you look at the bottom of it. There's me, bro.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that what Pop said, they look, you don't gotta put your stuff on there. I have seen people change their minds like 4 or 5 months in. We've had people, like, you've seen it. I mean, we've all seen it. You're okay with something, and then something happens, and now all of a sudden you can no longer tolerate it. Your mind is changed. When you're dealing with finances, that gets tricky. That gets really tricky, and it hurts people, because it's like, wow, it's such a temperamental situation. I don't want to see people start creating divisions, and they're going to be fighting. And Mike, I know you know this. You sound like a smart guy. I know Mindy is very educated, and she's been around. She's had, she's been in Comics Gate at one point. You guys are gonna have to fight for the soul of your platform.
Yeah.
That's true. I've got a few things to respond to that, if I can get the time, a couple minutes here. First off, is Pops an owner of the platform?
Yeah. No.
It's my platform. It's Mindy's platform. She owns half the company. I own half the company. It's Square Peg Media Group. Is Pops a major contributor and influencer? Yes. Is his advice invaluable? Yes. We're also bringing in several other companies into this. It's not just us. We're not just dicking around here. We've got Comics Cast, which is going to be involved heavily as the media arm. We've got partnerships with several major corporations such as Ready Comics, Gemini Comic Mailers, Easy Ship. I mean, we're coming into this with guns blazing. It's not just going to be something that's thrown together at the last minute. What makes our site different is the retailer integration. Okay, now you got to think that every creator's dream is to be on the shops, on the shelves, in the shops, right? That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to get their brand new project into the stores, into the customers, so they can actually be creators. Now, with all of these people ordering comics, all of these retailers ordering comics from these creators. Do you think these creators are just going to look at the retailers and say "fuck you"? I mean, is that what you think is going to happen? Because
that's the topic of this.
Of the career of that creator, like
Yeah,
for the
that's
foreseeable
the topic.
future. You know what I mean?
I just don't want to turn this into that because we've had already problems, Varian knows, with comic book shops, and I do want to stay on point for tonight.
Sure.
We still haven't heard you actually talk about what Varian said. Varian's question was flat out: what happens when someone starts tagging you as something? How would you, as a business owner, would handle that? I think that's what Varian's asking.
Well, that, but I was really wanting, like, you know, I know that I'm just asking, like, they're prepared for that battle, that there's gonna be a battle that even they, I mean,
they've already fought it. They've already had to fight this battle. They know what they're in for.
Well, to be clear, you haven't launched the site yet, right?
No, it will be launching in a week to 10 days.
Okay, so it hasn't been fought yet, Pops. That's Varian's question.
No, they have had to fight with the political bullshit.
No, what Varian...
you said, Pops is saying they've already fought.
No, I get that, but you know, once it's a business, is Varian saying the fight starts again.
Yeah,
so
they're gonna have to. Now they're gonna be fighting for the direction of that site. I wanted to bring up something though. Niobe Comics says, "Oh, this is where Mike is." LOL. Tell them who one of the launch titles might be. So, he wants to get his Niobe Comics over there.
Niobe,
yeah,
he's one of our creators that are going to be launching on day one.
Right now, and now that's.
I can tell you another creator who's going to be on the site on day one, Michael Barron.
Okay, Florida Man. Okay, now
possibly another one would be Third Empire with Mojo.
All right, guys, this isn't a pitch show.
Well, let me because I want to say something though about you got Niobe Comics on there. Larry, who's been on the show countless times, Larry's dealt with being kicked out of cons or being banned from shows because he won't pick a side. He's claimed neutrality, and he's also Larry. Come on, guys.
I really want to stay. Varian, I really want to stay away from things coming out of my mouth. I mean, I know this isn't a pitch show, but I need to let the retailers and the creators speak for us. And that's exactly what I'm doing by having them on the platform, by mentioning all these people that are going to be there on day one, because they're the ones that are talking. It's not us.
And that's what I was saying. That's, to your credit, one of the first titles you're going to have on there is Niobe Comics, Larry Higgins, who has stayed as neutral as possible. So that's to your credit that you are putting, your creators are standing behind what you're saying you guys are going to do. Now, question for Mike: have you made a stance on CG creators using your services? That's from Vic King.
Yes, I have. They are more than welcome to use our services. We are not gatekeeping anybody here. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're full-blown SJW, been writing comics in the mainstream for 20 years, want to come do a crowdfunding project, we're more than happy to have you. If you want to be CG, you want to come over, do a comic, more than happy to have you. If you want to stay the hell out of both camps and come over and do a comic, then come on, let's do it. Let's put some books in the shelves of these stores and make this work.
And anytime anybody's putting books in store shelves, indie books on store shelves, is a win. I really don't care how they got there.
That's why I got behind it. I'm behind it 100% to the point where they can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "What do you think about this?" And I'm answering because I'm behind this project 100%.
All right, so this is the time of the show because we're running out of time. We stay under the 2-hour mark. We're going to go around the room. Final thoughts on the topic for tonight's event. Getting back on topic to the politics and comics. What do you think the future is? Let's frame it that way. How do you see the future of comics being right now, looking at an election bearing down on us? Best guess, look into your crystal balls. We'll go around the room. We'll go in with how we came in. So, Mike, you're for our stuff.
I see it bright and beautiful, man. I really do, because I don't care who's in the White House. Creative voices, they don't stop. It's been that way since day one, and it's you guys that drive this industry, and we need each and every one of you, and you shouldn't be silenced. You shouldn't be gatekept. What's happening in this indie revolution is just immaculate. I couldn't think of a better time to be a creator in comics.
All right. We're up with Pops. You were in next, weren't? No, Josh was in next.
I think end of the day, the sum total of all of this back and forth is a tiny little film across the edge of the creative parts of the industry, and I completely agree. I think none of us know what comics are going to look like in 5 or 10 years, but there's still going to be comics, and they're still going to be great.
All right, Pops, you're up.
So bright, got some damn shades. And that's exactly how I feel about the indie industry. Not so much the other guys, because they might get hurt in what's coming, but I'm a firm believer that right now is you guys' time. And as far as the shows go, we still need Walter Cronkite, and that's the way it is. And walk off.
And Mike, I just muted you because there's some background noise, just as a heads up.
We still need guys like you guys that are in the middle, that don't pick a side, that just tell the news.
Let's see. The future of comics right now, politics. Well, politics aren't going to calm down until after November. Right now, I've said it. I think Trump takes it. I just have a feeling he's going to retain. We're in the middle of a really bad place. Usually, in the middle of a war, and we are at a war against the beer bug. Usually, just keep the guy in charge who's in charge. So I am fearful of what that means because we saw it happen last time he got elected. We had 4 years of troublesomeness, but in the end of the day, I hope that what I'm seeing right now happens. More creators talking to each other and realizing the sides are eroding the creativity in our market, and they all start working together again to create awesomeness. That is what comics have always been as an industry, an outlet for creative people to tell their stories. So at least that's my hope. That's what I hope my crystal ball is showing. Randy, how do you see it?
I think 2021 it's going to be worse than 2020. I think everybody better batten down the hatches and be ready for a lot of crap. But I'll tell Mike is 100% right. This is no better time to be an independent or an alternative creator out there doing your stuff. Crowdfunding's going to get big. Marvel's got a bloodbath coming. DC's going to cut back even farther. Diamond's going to have a really rough time surviving 2021. It's going to be a very interesting 2022. I know comics are going to get that far because comics
got that long distance crystal ball.
because comics always survive. Whenever there's a problem, whenever there's a hurdle that has to be adjusted in sequential art as an industry, people find a way to get around, and the industry grows up. And believe me, right now, like I said, that Mike said, great time to be in alternative comics because comics grow during bad economic times. And I fear for us all the next year or 2 years trying to spring back from this economy that's been crippled, and it's not been crippled by politics as much as it's been crippled by the beer bug. So, which I guess is kind of political anyway. But that's the way I see it.
That's a different thing.
Varian?
I think that I think that we're going to see a decisive winner in the current struggle in comics. Again, I don't like the idea that outside politics, what's happening in Washington, is affecting my industry that has been normally an escape from that type of bullshit. I think I disagree with Josh. I think we're going to know exactly what comics look like in the next couple of years. It's still going to be these books about yay, have this, why they're going to open, and we're going to read them. They'll look the same. They won't change format. I'm joking with that, but I think that the unique voices out here are going to start to stand up. I think that we're going to be stronger with people creating platforms. Randy said it before. Every time somebody gets fucked over in this industry, someone else forms a new link and figures out how to not get fucked over. And we all follow that person. So you got Mike and Mindy creating indie crowdfund. You got a lot of different services. A lot of people popping up supporting indie comics. You can look at the campaigns online. You're seeing people making money, and that's good. And also remember this too. I don't believe some of these bigger companies. They're lying. I've been looking at their numbers. Their numbers aren't making sense anymore. The numbers aren't making sense. I looked at.
I'm sorry to break in, Varian, but we also really have to question the numbers coming out of Scholastic and the digital platforms, because nobody is backing any of this up by facts. Everybody's running on the fields that YA novels and digital are selling like hotcakes, and they're really not. And that's the way that DC's investing in right now. And I think they're really going to pay for it in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, sorry. And then DC's new plan, and other people are going to follow suit, is that we talked about this. I believe they were in a boardroom and they decided, hey, you know why digital comics aren't selling? Because we're giving these idiots an option. Let's take away the physical. They'll buy digital because there's not going to be a physical version. So they'll have to buy the digital. And it's going to take Randy said about 4 months before they call that idiot who made that proclamation into their office and send his ass out with a little box about really high with his shit when they realize he effed up. That's it. That's where I'm at.
Nice
all right.
hat, Mike.
What, Pops?
I said, nice hat, Mike.
Oh. All right. So real quick, just as a programming note, the crab. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Where's the Comicsgate one? I think I have it on yours. We're going to be talking about Comicsgate next week, where we're going to invite Comicsgaters, SJWs, and anyone else, moderate whispers. If you're a whisperer, we'll get you a louder mic. That's what we're going to do, so you don't have to whisper so much. We got you.
You can hide behind one of those.
And remember, if you have any comments, concerns, or you don't like me, you want to say how ugly I am, and forgetting that I'm actually trying to cosplay a pumpkin this year, the indiedevil@gmail.com is the actual email address to send your hate mail to. All right, I'm going to let someone more talented than me take over now. Varian or Randy, you want to take us out via IndieVolt?
Sure. Want to thank everybody for watching the Indie Devil here on Indie Vault. We're on Geek Insider as well. Thank you for listening on Indie Vault Radio right now. Indie Vault Radio is pulling in right now our number. We are at 71,904 people listening. Want to thank you guys in Italy. Want to thank Australia. Want to thank Ireland. Want to thank Germany. You guys are great. Thanks for tuning in. We shouldn't have made those comments. I've had no one in Germany who's listening.
We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, listen, you can get Indie Vault Radio on Google Play, and if you have an Apple iPhone Streamer, there's a couple different apps you can use, but I know you can use Streamer. Type in Indie Vault Radio and pull it up there. Also, you have Roku enabled device television. Look up Indie Vault TV. It's our streaming network. We got independent movies, some exclusive content we don't have on our YouTube site, and we got some documentaries and special series headed there exclusively to Indie Vault TV very, very soon.
All right.
And don't be afraid to send us comments, questions, even if you want to complain about Rob. You can do that too. You can send that to indievoltlive@indievolt.com. Please include Indie Vault Live in the subject so that we know just what you're complaining or talking about. There is no, please keep the emails to 90 words or less. There is no question or problem too big or too small for us to handle. And remember, our feedback will be better because of your setback. Hashtag get an education. Hashtag Indie Vault.
All right, that's it. We're out. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
I just want to point out I'll be here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with a first show of that we're calling the Sunday Funnies. 9 a.m. where we're going to be concentrating on the fun and the light side of comics. So join me if you want to see comics that put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Also, you should probably go around the room and let everybody promote their stuff.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Don't have enough time. Oh, sorry. Yes, we do.
We're out of time. They go Barks on wherever you get Josh Dahl. Work real quick.
Barks.
Where can you get it? Come on, man. Time is money. Where can you get it?
Oh, the BarksComic.rocks.
There we go. There it is. That's it. We're out. Thanks for tuning in. We hit the 2-hour mark like we're supposed to. So I appreciate everyone who listened today, everyone who participated, everyone who gave a question. Sorry if we didn't read your question. You're all awesome. Stay awesome. Don't pick a side. Stay in the middle and make them upset.